to Bytes. I'm Christine Tao. I'm the CEO and co-founder. I am so honored to have Professor Jenny Chatman join the chat today. So one of the things I also wanted to chat with you about, Jenny, was, you also do a lot of work in thinking about how to create the right organizational structure to drive the actual strategic direction and have impact on the strategy and business outcomes for a company. And I think one of the things that a lot of HR leaders are grappling with is how do they still create or maintain a culture that can drive towards that strategy when they're no longer physically next to each other, right? Or moving to remote for the first time, or maybe having to go through restructuring or layoffs, which can have an impact on the current culture. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts a bit, and in particular, how HR leaders might need to think about that and how they can either lead or drive that type of change in this environment.
Sure. So thinking about the culture in the context of a sudden move to remote work is challenging. We do have a little bit of research insight into maintaining cohesion in the context of remote work, but it's not clear that culture change has been studied as much in this context. So I'm going to have to draw from what we do know and speculate about what might work well. The first thing, and this is going to sound incredibly simple, but the first thing is part of the way that culture develops in organizations is that people have exposure to one another and can share experiences and observe one another's behavior. And that's one of the most high impact ways that a culture develops, is by observing what others are doing. Going into one organization and seeing that in meetings, everybody jokes for a while first before they get down to it. And in another organization, meetings always start, exactly on time and on topic.
Yeah, at Sounding Board, we like to do a lot of jokes in the beginning.
Yes, right. Me too. That would be my preference. But that's how you figure out what the culture of an organization is being exposed to behavior. And for all of the advances that we've made in remote work, and it's really quite remarkable that we're able to carry on as well as we have been because of all these tools. But these are limited tools in terms of behavioral interaction. So what I would recommend is that HR managers and managers more generally ensure that they are taking the time for deliberate social interaction, whether it's hosting a Zoom Friday party or taking some time at the beginning of a meeting to ask everybody what they're doing, or to start with, what's been going on with you and how's the remote work going. Some moment to have more normal social interaction, incidental social interaction that we would have if we were on site working together. I think there's really no easy substitute for that. So we have to build it in and make it deliberate. Now, the broader question about culture change within organizations, to me, the same rules apply as when we're talking about regular culture change. You always want to think about a culture that is strategically relevant, strong, and adaptive over time. And to me, the big thing that's changed is that company strategies might change rather dramatically from the COVID crisis. And if that's the case, then the culture needs to change along with that strategy in order to support it. So for example, you could say, gee, in our previous culture, pre-COVID culture, our top priority was the highest quality product that we could offer. Well, maybe now you're in one of the impacted industries and it's much more important that you focus on production volume. Something in your culture has to enable people to switch priorities. They have to figure out how to reprioritize what is strategically important. And the only way that they're able to do that is if leaders are sharing information regularly about strategic shifts that are happening in the organization and what it means for employees down the line within the organization. So that strategic relevance ends up continuing to be important.
I think that's such an important point, which, you know, you see happen when any company takes on a shift and change, is that there's a lot of time spent on the business that needs to change, the strategy that needs to change, but then not a lot of thought around then what's the following cultural change that needs to happen in order to actually enable that strategic shift to happen successfully. And I think that's why you see so many challenges with whether it's acquisitions or other sort of disruptive events, you know, end up usually not being successful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your thoughts on that. And we're going to come back with one more question soon.